Alright, so I don't have access to a pull-up bar at home, and I don't have anywhere that I could install one even if I did have access. So I'm doing pull-ups with my fingertips on a door frame, which is way harder, than normal pull-ups. So when you start adding weight, this can be challenging. What if you don't have a weight belt? Now, if you don't have any kettlebells, you can use barbell plates, you can use dumbbells. You don't just have to use kettlebells for this weighted part, but what if you don't have the belt? Alright, so I'm going to show a couple options of stuff that you can just kind of throw together, improvising what you have around the house. It doesn't need to be these items, just the mindset that would get you to look at household items or stuff you have laying around a little differently. Improvise, adapt to your situation. Okay, so first item, trusty old jiu-jitsu white belt. Had it laying around, not doing much except for some stretching, and you can use this as an improvised dip belt, or in our case, pull-up belt. How do you do that? So what you're gonna do, you got like a big loop here, right? And you're just gonna do what's referred to as a necklace knot. Alright, so I've fed my belt through the handle of the kettlebell here, and I've got my two ends, cross them over, and I know that I'm going to need to do this a little deeper, so I go like this, I make one knot, and I'm going to give it some more tail, because I know that's what I need. Otherwise this kettlebell won't leave the ground when I put this thing around my waist. Second one, I know I'm going to need to give it a little bit more tail as well. I'll pull this working end through here like this, real simple knots. Tie those both tight against themselves, and then pull them tight against one another, like so. So I have kettlebell, loop, belt. So now when I go to step inside this, just like I would any weight belt where I already have the weight attached to it, I can simply kneel down, put it down low around my waist, my hips, not my lower back, give it the old stand up, and I've got an improvised weight belt. For me, this pressure isn't too bad here because again, I put this thing down around my butt, around my hips, not my lower back. Your lower back should not be carrying the weight when you do this. Okay, second option, piece of rope. I think this rope is about 10 feet long. On one end, I just have an anchor loop. It's a figure 8 retrace with an anchor and just a little security knot on it. If you want to know how that's done, ask me, or there's plenty of tutorials online for just real simple knot tying. I'm not a knot genius or anything. Alright, so for this variation of the bowline that I'm going to use to connect these two pieces of rope together, I've got my loop on one end, my anchor loop, and I'm going to take my working end on the other, feed it through, and once I've fed it through, then I'm just going to tie my bowline like I would normally tie my bowline. Okay, so we have trusty comrade kettlebell. We feed our working end through the kettlebell, and again through the anchor loop that we have made. Once we do that, we tie our bowline normally, just like we would any other time. And hopefully leave ourselves enough, throw a little security knot on there. Does it need the security knot? I don't know. I always do a security knot. I don't know if it needs it or not, but I feel in my heart like it probably does. So once you got that tightened down, you got yourself an improvised weight belt. So here we are, kettlebell, piece of rope, weight belt. Now when I step inside this guy, again I'm putting it around my hips and not my lower back. So I don't personally need any kind of padding when I do this, but if you want some, just throw a sweatshirt around here or something like that, some kind of piece of cloth. Something that's going to distribute some of the weight and not put it all on just that concentrated point of rope that's carrying all, whatever, 53 pounds here. Okay, if you got this far into the video, you get a treat, because the last cheat is a backpack. And with this particular backpack, to make my life a little bit easier, and actually just to keep the backpack from falling apart, because I suspect it might fall apart much more quickly if I didn't make this modification, I just made a little chair for my kettlebell out of cardboard and duct tape, and I just slide that down into the bottom of the backpack. And I just took rough measurements of the width and length of the backpack before doing this so that I knew this would fit snugly right down in there. And then my kettlebell just has a nice little chair inside the backpack. And once I zip this thing up, I've got some straps that I can tighten down real hard on here. So Comrade Kettlebell is in the backpack, and I can just tighten these straps down. Now I'm not going to go on a walk with it in here like this, because it's got a little too much play. But I know that just for doing push-ups like I was doing the other day, or pull-ups with a little extra weight, this is going to do the trick. Now if you're feeling like it's moving around too much on you, just throw a sweatshirt or something in there to kind of hold it in place with something soft that takes up some space inside your bag. Now you do need to have a bag that can support whatever kind of weight you're putting in there, so you know you're not going to throw this in your average JanSport. But if you got a bag that can hold the weight, go ahead and use it. Alright, bonus round. If you happen to have any contractor bags laying around your house, like 3mm, 55-gallon drum liners, that sort of thing, and you have access to some earth or some sand, put the bag liner inside your backpack and throw the earth or sand inside of the drum liner. Put the drum liner inside your backpack and fill that with sand or earth or whatever you have access to your desired weight. You can even wet it if you want to. This is another great option, and I don't have access to those things, or I might do them. What's great about that is that it's completely ergonomic. In other words, like especially sand will form to the shape of your back. So there's never any chance that you're going to have something uncomfortably digging into you, or you'll have to stop in the middle of a set or a training session to, mess around with your added weight system. So that's just a little bonus round. If you have access to those things, super good option.